So this is pretty cool. I am in a shaker museum, and the Shakers were part of a religious sect that's sort of like Protestant that lived communally. They didn't reproduce either, which is pretty interesting. And that's kind of how they died off from this community in Kentucky. But I am going to tour their museum, and I will take some pictures for you. But this is actually pretty cool and a pretty interesting story. I'll tell you as I go along. Look at that cabinet, though. But this used to be 6,000 acres that had hundreds of people on it, and then as time went on, and they couldn't recruit more people to their lifestyle, they died down to about 9, and then were offered some money to either just disband or to move up to New York, where the bigger Shaker community is. Only 2 went up to New York, the rest took the money, and that ended this community. The property was auctioned off. Somebody bought it. Well, actually, lots of somebody's bought it, divided it up, and then this museum was bought to keep track of their history. But look at these cabinets. It's like amazing woodwork. They built all this stuff and did all this stuff themselves. But unlike the Amish and the Mennonites, these people embraced technology and progressed along with time. They had electricity, they had indoor plumbing. Pretty cool. Here, I'll take a picture of the sign about the kitchen. But I love finding places like this because it shows all the history of all the different areas and different kind of backgrounds people came from. Look at that apple pillar. I mean, the technology is amazing. And then over here is a huge big kitchen. And they didn't have any locks on their houses or on their buildings or on their bedrooms, but they eventually put locks on all the storage closets just because of the fact that they had so much sugar and wine and jams and jellies. They had to protect it to be good stewards of their community. Anyway, I will chat in a minute. I'm going back into another room. So this is a Shaker bedroom, or what they called retiring room. There were strict rules on how many pieces of furniture and what was allowed in each room. And they kept the rooms obsessively clean, which is really interesting because this community was run by a woman. Her name was Anne something, and she was the founder of Shakers. But they were only allowed to have 1 rocking chair unless the elderly were in here, 1 desk and chair. Pretty interesting stuff. But what makes it more interesting was it was a religious community where they lived communally, and it was run by a female. Pretty cool. We'll go look at the other side. This is the other side of the hallway, and this is the Shaker retiring room for the females. Sometimes they had as few as 2 and as many as 4 in each room. It depended on how many people were in the community. And they did that for personal accountability. Oh, look at that built-in cupboard over there. It is so pretty. But they did it for personal accountability, so they didn't get led into any sort of temptations. And what it is there's this giant hallway that divides. That side's the brothers. This side's the sisters. And then this giant hallway divides it and keeps it all separated. Let's go see what's in here. This is the sister's bathroom. Let's take a picture, and I'm going to pause to read that. When the community was first started, they had outhouses. There's no record as to how they bathed or anything like that back then. But during the 19th century, they put in bathrooms on each side, 1 for the sisters and 1 for the brothers. This is the sister's bathroom. Pretty cool. I can't get over these built-in cabinets, though. They're just beautiful. Look at this one. Is that not awesome? Alright, we're going to go down this hallway to that other room. I gotta show you this pretty cool clock that I guess I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. Check that out. We'll check it out again in a minute. Let's go in here. Something regarding myself. The South Union Shakers and the objects that tell their stories. Ooh, let's go in here and check this out. Wow. Well, I'm going to read these about these people, but here's a room that talks about some of the people and has some of the fine furnishings. I believe they made these furnishings themselves. So this is pretty cool. This room has plaques that tell the story of blacks and enslaved and free slaves that came to join the Shaker community. And at first they were self-segregated, and then by 1811 they just started all living amongst each other. It's pretty cool. And then here in 1819, these ones were slaves that became emancipated and became part of the community. But then over here, it talks about how some of them had left in 1818 and 1822 and were re-enslaved by white Americans. It's just pretty cool how it tells the story of this community. But that woodwork is what fascinates me the most. I know that seems crazy. And then look how they used to hang their chairs up to keep the floors clear of clutter. This is where they had community meetings, males on one side, females on the other side. And these little plaques are going to tell me more. This is the infirmary. So this is where anybody who was a sick shaker or wounded shaker would come to be cared for. It's pretty cool. I don't know why they have a cradle, although it is longer for a, bigger person. But they didn't have children here, really, except for the ones that they adopted from outside in order to provide a home and keep their community going. There's another beautiful cabinet. I'm just so impressed by the woodwork. But here, I'm going all the way down the hallway. And just so you know, it's extremely cold in this building. This is the nurse's quarters. So I guess the Shaker nurse got her own quarters. Oh, look, and back there. Here's like a medicine room. But here's her bed and a desk and all the information and things to mix herbs and stuff. So this is pretty cool. This is a brethren's room in the Shaker Center house. And they have blue and green clues hidden so you can learn about stuff. But in here, you're welcome to touch and sit and look at all the furnishings. But look at these. These are the original fireplaces that were in each of the rooms. And they vent out, and they have these cool lights that vent out too. Get shoes and candles and the little Shaker boxes, drawers. And then here you can see out into the farm. There's the RV over there. This is just beautiful stuff. But what I like the most is the quality of the wood furniture. It's how they washed up and shaved in the morning. Their mirror. And they have these little hooks everywhere to hang things on, to keep them off the floor. There's another little home out there. This is 1846. But we're going to go check all this out. But I thought it would be cool for you to see this room. See these little beds, there's little chamber pots. Let's go to the other side. I love the view out the window. Sit here and just look out there all day. And there's another big cabinet. Here's another house. This one's gone. And this one's gone. There was over 200 buildings on this property. And now there's only, I think, 7 or 8 they said left. Oh, look at that. It's a date stone from 1818. Oh, and there it is. It's from the 1818 meeting house. And there's a wheel from the laundry house. This place is so cool. Here's a map of what it looked like in 1834. It was huge. And now it's like believe that just this center part is left right now. This is a sister's retiring room for the one who is the head of the spiritual leaders. So she has a little more fixtures and furnishings and stuff in her room. It's beautiful, just beautiful woodwork. And look at that long hallway, isn't that pretty? I'm still only in the first building, but it just goes on and on. There's just so much to see. And then to read the stuff about them, because I really didn't know anything about the Shakers. But here's their furniture. And they made all this stuff themselves. But the high quality of the wood is what we're all missing today. In everything. This is the laundry room. So there's laundry, the ironing, all the wash tubs and press tubs. This is pretty cool. Look at the moldings for socks. Look at that. So because you couldn't own much, this is the deacon's closet. So when you needed something, you came here, showing what you had was worn out, and then it got replaced. Pretty crazy, huh? So if you wanted a new blanket, you couldn't just go get one. New bar soap, new light. This is a schoolroom for some of the children who either converted or were adopted into it. It's pretty cool. And there's one of the original desks. These cabinets. But I'm up in the top level. And this is the attic. This is where they stored stuff. Shaker girls at school. Pretty cool. This is pretty neat. Well, I think I finished this house. So I'm going to go on to another one. But I am all the way at the top. There is another attic level, but I believe that one's closed. Oh no, it is open. It just shows you what an attic looks like. That's kind of creepy. Oh yeah, it's just a regular sort of East Coast attic. Pretty neat. There's the dining hall where everybody ate. I think I took a picture of this earlier. But, all right, I'm gonna go out and check out some other buildings. So this is the outside of that big house I was just in. And these are the other village houses I'm gonna go into. I was whispering inside because there actually are people still in there actively working and restoring the place. But the reason I decided to come here is I've heard of Shakers before, but I really didn't understand what the community was about. But I also did know that they were the first people that freed slaves, and I wanted to see how that came about. But this is a pretty cool place. It is in Union City, or no, South Union, Kentucky. And there actually is another Shaker community in Kentucky, but this one was closest on my route, so I came to this one. I think the other one is actually, oh sorry, I stepped down an active hotel. We're going to go in the 1935 milk house used by the center house for the production of butter and cheese. Butter and cheese. Over here is the smokehouse. But I believe this one is open. Oh yeah. Look at that. Oh, look at this brick floor. That's super cool. That's one of those things that flips over to make butter and cheese. And I think it's how many times you flip it that it makes stuff. Oh, look at that. Cheese pans, butter churners. Scales. It's neat to see how communities live so simplistically, and we're all so complex. Even though we now go to a store to get all of our stuff, it would seem simple, but it's very complex. The shop room is above. Let's go check that out. I wanted to tour like an Amish community and a Mennonite community also, because they're also interesting. But I haven't found one that was tourable. this is where they made brooms. And what was pretty cool about this is the Shakers took the round broom that everybody was using at the time and turned it into these flat, more efficient brooms. Pretty cool. But this is where they made them, and this is where they sold them. I think that over there is an example of the round to the flat. But that was a pretty big deal at the time.